Given f of x equals x minus 5 squared, restrict the domain so this function has an inverse. It may help to first draw a graph of this function. And I see it looks like x squared, so it looks like a parabola. So the base graph looks something like this. And it's been moved to the right 5 units. So this is over here at x equals 5. Everything has been moved over to the right. So our new graph looks like this. So this is a sketch of y equals f of x. Now to see if this is one-to-one or not, we can pass a horizontal line through this. So I see if we draw a horizontal line, this crosses the graph at 2 places, so it's not one-to-one. So to make this function one-to-one, we need to get rid of one of the 2 halves of the graph. So there are 2 ways to do this. So for the first, option 1 would be to remove this left piece over here on the left-hand side. So remove everything that is less than 5. Doing that, our new domain is the rest, x greater than or equal to 5. Well, let's see what the inverse would be in this case. Remember, to find an inverse, we switch x and y and solve for y. So to find f inverse, what we would do in this case is, well, we have the original function as y equals x minus 5 squared. We're going to switch the roles of x and y, so x equals y minus 5 squared. And now we take the square root of both sides. This gives us plus or minus the square root of x equals y minus 5. Then finally we add 5 to both sides to solve for y. So we get y equals positive 5 plus or minus the square root of x. Now this plus or minus tells you this is not a function. However, we've restricted the domain so that x is greater than or equal to 5. So if the domain of the original function is x is greater than or equal to 5, that means the range of the inverse is the same. Y must be greater than or equal to 5. This value here will only be greater than or equal to 5 if we choose the positive square root. So that means our inverse function will be 5 plus radical x. Let's look at the second option. Let's see what were to happen if we were to remove the other half. So option 2 would be to remove everything to the right. So in this case, we removed everything to the left of 5. The second way to restrict the domain would be to remove everything to the right of 5. So doing this, our domain is what's left, which is x is less than or equal to 5. If we were to find the inverse here, the only difference is that this last step, when we chose to go with the positive square root of x, we did that based on our domain. So here, if x is less than or equal to 5, that means the range of the inverse must be the same, must be y is less than or equal to 5. That will only happen if we choose the negative square root. That means under this option, our inverse will be 5 minus radical x. So we have 2 ways to restrict the domain, which gives us 2 different inverse functions.